This report focuses on a developing political dispute in Washington involving presidential authority, congressional oversight, and the use of military and emergency powers. The issue has triggered an unusual response inside Congress, where some members of the president's own party have taken formal steps alongside opposition lawmakers. What has unfolded centers on limits to executive power, especially in matters related to military action and emergency declarations. The situation has drawn attention because it reflects internal disagreement at the highest levels of government rather than a routine partisan clash. At the center of the development is a congressional move to advance a war powers resolution. The resolution is designed to restrict the president's ability to initiate certain military actions. In this case, the measure progressed with support not only from Democratic lawmakers but also from several Republican senators. That bipartisan cooperation marks a notable moment, as it directly challenges authority normally exercised by the White House. The resolution moved forward after lawmakers expressed concern about discussions related to possible military options connected to Greenland. Greenland is associated with Denmark, which is a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO operates on the principle of collective defense, meaning that any military action involving a member state has wider implications beyond a single country. That framework is a central reason lawmakers raised objections and sought formal limits. The individuals involved include members of the United States Senate from both major parties. Republican senators joining Democrats to advance the resolution signaled discomfort with the direction of executive decision-making. On the executive side, the focus remains on President Donald Trump, whose administration has previously relied on emergency powers and strong presidential authority to pursue policy goals. Congress, as an institution, plays a key role in this dispute. The legislative branch holds constitutional authority over declarations of war and oversight of executive actions. In this case, lawmakers emphasized their responsibility to review and constrain presidential power when it extends into military or emergency actions. References were also made to broader oversight tools, including emergency declarations, access to government documents, and inspector general findings, all of which fall under congressional review. The timing of this development is significant. The resolution advanced during an ongoing period of debate in Washington over executive authority and the balance of power between branches of government. It follows a series of situations in which Congress has questioned how and when emergency powers are used. The discussion took place within the United States, while the international aspect involves Greenland and Denmark, linking the issue to NATO's collective defense structure. The international dimension matters because Denmark's status as a NATO ally means that any military consideration involving its territory would not be an isolated action. NATO's collective defense principle creates obligations and risks that extend beyond bilateral decisions. Lawmakers pointed to this structure as a reason the issue required congressional involvement rather than unilateral executive action. Why this matters goes beyond the immediate resolution. The episode highlights how disagreements within the president's own party can shape outcomes in Congress. It also underscores the role of legislative oversight in situations involving military authority and emergency powers. For U.S. politics, the move reflects tension between party loyalty and institutional responsibility. For global affairs, it reinforces how U.S. decisions are closely tied to alliances and international commitments. As for the current status, the War Powers Resolution has advanced with bipartisan support. The process brings the issue into formal debate, where Congress can assert its authority and define limits on presidential action. The article also notes continued attention on related oversight areas, including emergency declarations and internal government reviews, though no final outcomes on those matters are stated. What happens next depends on the legislative process and on how the executive branch responds. The resolution's advancement means the issue remains active within Congress, keeping presidential authority, military decision-making, and oversight firmly in the public and political spotlight. In conclusion, this development represents a rare moment of bipartisan alignment aimed at reinforcing congressional authority. It centers on concerns over military power, emergency actions, and alliance obligations. While the situation is still unfolding, it clearly demonstrates how institutional checks and balances are being tested and exercised within the U.S. political system.